You're live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mach 30 Apogee 1. We are at Club Siberia in Indianapolis, the Indy's hackerspace, and we are about to get going on the first public conference type event Mach 30 is hosted. Again, I want to thank our sponsors, Club Siberia and the hotel, Hampton Inn, Indianapolis East, for hosting our events for this weekend. Beck, if you're out there, the link should be active. This is the first event of the day, and it's going to be the kickoff and keynote speech. We're going to have our very own Jay Simmons, president of Mach 30, come up and tell us or give us the state of the organization. We've been around for a while, but this is the first time we're doing a public gathering, a conference type event, and we just want to give everybody the background. So without further ado, let me introduce Jay Simmons, the president and founder of Mach 30. He's a PhD candidate from the Air Force Institute of Technology.
And scary close to being done.
Scary close. Days, in fact. And so he got everything started here at Mach 30 with being interested in open source, spaceflight hardware, and making. So, Jay?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I still need those.
Got your notes.
Yeah. So yeah, Greg, calls it my keynote, and it makes it sound like such a big deal. And the event is, but honestly, I've been working on this for the last 2 days because I just finished my dissertation. So before I really get going into what my notes say I need to do, I just want to thank all of you guys for coming. I want to thank all of you guys for the work you guys do day in and day out for the organization. We really are an all-volunteer organization, and we do not exist without your all's efforts. Shepherd wouldn't exist. Groundsphere wouldn't exist. Quite honestly, ITAR-EZ, despite the fact that that came out of the brainchild of a very late and rowdy conversation at a conference between Greg and I, it
we
wouldn't
were asked
exist.
politely to keep it down. Those are the best ones.
It really wouldn't exist without you. And I can point to every single activity at Mach 30 and then point over at the core volunteers that are responsible for making that happen. And I know every day when I get into a hangout with folks that these are the folks that make Mach 30 what it is. So now on to something a little more prepared. If you were to compare Mach 30's history to the launch of a rocket, our founding would be ignition. In January 2009, thanks to a swift kick in the pants by our, at the time, newest board member, Greg, we went ahead and incorporated, not really knowing what that was going to entail next. So we had ignition. And if you fast forward to that fateful fall day, a year and a half or 2 years later, 2.5 years later, when the IRS finally said, "Yea, verily, you are a 501c3 nonprofit. Go and ask for donations. They are now tax deductible." That would be liftoff, finally crawling off of the pad. And today we clear the tower. Up until now, Mach 30, when it has done something in person, monumental enough to warrant having its people gather in one place. When you talked about the activities of Mach 30, you talked about who made the organization, you talked about the board of directors. Today, I am happy and excited to say now we talk about the volunteer community as a whole. The board still has an essential and important role to play in this, but now we are an organization that lives and dies not just by the handful of people that have signed paperwork and said we will take fiduciary responsibility for the organization. Now it is also about the people designing hardware, the people fighting legal bureaucracy so that we can share as much as we want to share, the people that are marketing the organization, the people developing websites. All of these things are now a part of Mach 30. This is a turning point that we have all of our people together and not just the board of directors. It's a huge deal for us, and it really does represent the turning point towards really doing what Mach 30 had been founded to do. So I cannot say enough how excited I am. I thought I was excited the first time the board of directors met for its first retreat 3 or 4 years ago. This is a wholly different thing. you know, unlike certain other organizations out there doing spaceflight things, a rocket company, for example, that shall remain nameless, but started with, oh, say, about $1 billion in cash by their founder, that their founder had lying around in his bank. We started with 3 people sitting around a kitchen table and 2 or 3 other people, depending on the day, dialing in over a phone bridge because we didn't have Hangouts. And that was how we met. And it is hard to believe, and in fact it's something of a running joke among some of us on the board, that when we first started meeting and we were doing the paperwork for the bylaws, there's a place where it says how you have to say how often the board regularly meets. It's one of the expectations so people can come to a nonprofit board meeting and be like, I have questions about your organization.